Hello again, everyone. There are some things, some controversial matters in Christian faith and practice that I'm reasonably sure about. And there are some things I absolutely know about. So, something that I'm reasonably sure of is that it's not going to be a pre-tribulation rapture, it's going to be a post-tribulation rapture. I can't imagine Jesus coming, collecting us, taking us to heaven for 7 years, and then returning us to Baltimore after that. I don't see that happening. So I'm pretty sure a post-tribulation rapture is intended. That's my best reading of the relevant scriptures. And I'm also pretty sure that old earth creationism is the best interpretation of Genesis 1, where planet Earth is never intended by the Hebrew noun eretz. It's transliterated eretz. It's H776. God translates that noun as dry land in Genesis 1:10. So I'm reasonably sure that young earth creationism is wrong and destructive, and so is pre-tribulation rapture scenarios, which is also wrong and also destructive. But I am not as sure about them as I am sure about free grace and once saved, always saved. And it's not just because of the overwhelming amount of scriptural evidence against free grace and once saved, always saved. And I'm going to put a link in the description below, and a handy reference for some of the numerous scriptures that put the lie to once saved, always saved, and free grace. I'll make that easy for you to find. And it's not just the absurdity that someone like Dan Barker, who was a Christian professional for a couple of decades, and an evangelist, a missionary, and someone who is actually moving in the gifts of the Spirit, who is now on a crusade for atheism, is the co-founder of the Freedom from Religion Foundation, believe it or not, and has been on waging anti-Christian jihad for the last 40 years. The idea that somebody like him is going to receive a crown of righteousness on Judgment Day instead of a swift boot into the lake of fire is utterly absurd. Yet that is the absurdity that Praise the I Am, Charles Jennings, Jack Smack, and some of these other unlettered, uncredentialed, total clowns are out there preaching, and are preaching it with a straight face. That is not how I know once saved, always saved is wrong. Those are good reasons to conclude once saved, always saved is wrong. But that's not how I know it's wrong. A few weeks ago, I was doing a live stream with the false teacher, Praise the I Am. And during that live stream, I went through some of my testimony. And I'm giving you a link to that below, too. It's about 10 or 12 minutes, which I recommend you watch when you get a chance. But during that live stream and during that testimony that I offered, I mentioned how I had been a serious Christian in my youth, from ages of 6 to 14. I was, as Charles Jennings would claim, born again. I believed the gospel. Hallelujah. And I did. But I fell away for over 20 years. And I described it in that video, that interview with Praise the I Am, how on a Halloween night in 1996, the devil tried to kill me just before I had a reconciliation with God. Now, I had, like I said, I'd been a serious Christian when I was in my youth, but I fell away from it for over 20 years. I was a binge alcoholic. I had wandered away from the congregation of understanding, as they say, and I had been in the wilderness for over 20 years. And I had, an adversarial relationship with the kingdom. If anything, the devil had pretty much weaponized me over those 20 years and had bigger plans for me, I guess. But dating my Pentecostal wife and going to her church every week, things were beginning to change for me, and I think the devil realized that it was just a matter of time before I became reconciled to the God of my youth. And so, as I say in that video, in that interview, that stream with praise, the devil tried to kill me that one night. And my wife had been tipped off about it. She had had a dream about me being badly injured, and she communicated that to me before that night. And I'm not going to repeat the whole thing here. Have a look yourself at the link. But the devil made a serious attempt to kill me that night. And if he had succeeded, according to once saved, always saved, and free grace, the devil would have been trying to send me to heaven. Because I had been a believer when I was 13, 14. Serious believer. I fell away like the prodigal son. I was the seed that fell in the stony ground, didn't have a strong enough root to maintain my faith. I fell away. But according to Charles Jennings and his friends, the devil was trying to send me to heaven that night. Do you really believe the devil was trying to send me to heaven by killing me? Or take me to hell while he still had a chance to? This is how I know once saved, always saved is a lie from hell. Have a good day.